The human commanding officer looked at me as if I had just slapped a Gilbronder with a piece of fish. I said, "I am here to perform a weapons inspection." "Yeah, I heard you the first time." "But what for? What weapons?" "This is a backwater mining colony. The only weapons we have are sidearms and personal gear, maybe a defense platform, but—" The human commander replied in confusion. "Don't lie to me, human. Weapons signatures." My communicator beeped at me just as the sound of an explosion was heard. "Just like the one I have been told about have been emanating from your planet for months now. I demand entry to inspect your secret weapons program." The humans in the office gave each other a glare. Wait, what? Weapons tests?" "Yes, weapons tests. Our sensors detect regular use of explosives on this planet almost every solar cycle. That does not occur when you aren't testing new weaponry. Now stop stalling, humans. Show me your new weapons," I demanded. Again, they looked at each other and glared at me in response. "There are no weapons tests taking place. Those explosions are mining ops." "Impossible. Nobody uses explosives for—" "Okay, whoa, hold it. Okay, I'ma call bullcrap here. You mean to tell me your species has no concept of using explosives for mining?" one of the humans said loudly. "Of course not. We have drills that do that," I replied in kind, glaring at him. "No bullcrap. Bull! There's no way in hell we're the only ones in the galaxy who understand the concept of blowing rocks up to make digging easier. No way in hell. No, I'm done. I'm out. I need whiskey," he said, shaking his head as he walked out. "Seamus, get back here. You're still on duty, for Christ's sake," the commander yelled. "No way in hell, boss. No way. There's just no way. I refuse to believe this. I'm done. I'm out. I'ma get some honey jack and try go blind. Peace!" He yelled in frustration as he vanished down the corridor. The human commander put his palm to his face and sighed. "That's the last time I hire a Scotsman," he said with a deep sigh. He once again redirected his attention to me. "Look, buddy, I don't know what qualifies for weaponry on your planet, but here, pistols and rifles are all we got. This is just a mining colony, not a research outpost. We're not licensed for that. Poppycock, the explosions you creatures release can be detected on sensors 2 systems away. I demand to see what you crazy creatures are up to," I commanded with anger. "Okay, dude, shut up. You're giving me a migraine. God, you people are more anally retentive than revenue agents. Look, if I give you a demonstration of what we're doing here, will you go away? We have a quota to hit, and because of you, we're behind schedule." He yelled back at me with frustration. "Good. At least we're getting somewhere," I replied smugly. He took a yellow hat from the wall and handed it to me. "This is a hard hat. Safety regulations require it. Put it on or you go no further." I hesitantly put the fumbly thing on, requiring a strap to keep it on my head. "So demeaning." "Shut up and follow. Hurry up already. We're done priming the dig site," he said, and ushered me out the door. There wasn't much to this planet, really. The world had a breathable atmosphere as a result of its long-dead biological past, but mostly the atmosphere was kept stable by various terraforming machines dotted across the landscape. Humanity had made it clear they were strip mining the planet, so vast swaths of land were now covered in digging machines, with large chunks of rock face carved out of the planet's surface. Most vegetation was already gone. Nobody seemed to care when humans arrived and started digging. I saw no drilling equipment besides small handheld drills or rock bores, which was more than unusual. Instead, I saw large numbers of staggeringly massive vehicles with wheels bigger than most armored war vehicles. But also among them, strange vehicles with large claw-like machines and the oddest form of propulsion. I made a mental note to check what they were for and how they worked. This looked like secret tech to me. I may have stumbled on a gold mine of new tech for the Federation. "Okay, here's your explosives," he said, pointing at a thing on a flat plateau. "It's a hole, with cables in it." I replied in confusion. "Yeah, these are the explosives you've been bitching about. Since you have no concept of what's on offer here, I'll make it simple. These holes are dug with precision. Cores of high explosives are put in the holes. We go away, blow up the explosives. The explosives turn this solid rock into little bits of dirt, clumps of boulders and dust. The particulates are gathered up by those machines, then sent to a refinery for processing. Simple as that. Cheap, effective, and if done right, safe," he said, speaking to me with a mixture of frustration and annoyance. Preposterous! There isn't enough explosive force to dislodge this plateau, I barked angrily. Okay, so Whiny Baby isn't happy. Let's provide him with a demonstration. Clear the field! Fire up the det cord! He yelled out, then repeated the message into his radio. We were hastily ushered away behind a heavy glass barrier of some kind. I wasn't going to question it. If the humans were hiding behind a thing, that's reason enough to join them. A foreman in the background stood by some kind of makeshift control panel and yelled out, "Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole!" he bellowed. He then pressed a button, and as if the gods themselves willed it, a half-mile stretch of land suddenly heaved itself upwards, then collapsed back down on itself. A thunderous roar followed by the noise of a landslide as several thousand tons of mineral-rich rock crumbled to the ground into the plateau below it. The humans perfectly crafted the surrounding area of the blast zone into a sort of funnel, making a rock slide of boulders and debris into a holding site just below the blast zone. Within seconds, I heard the mesmerizingly beautiful roar of 100 engines start up in a chorus of machinery. The engineer looked at me with a smirk and said, "So, you were saying?" he said to me with a smug grin. I couldn't respond. My jaw on the floor as a cacophony of heavy engines filled my hearing, watching the perfect concert of mining equipment. Vehicles at the top of the plateau that just got blasted using large moving mechanical shields in front of them to shovel the excess dirt around, effectively corralling it off the newly made cliff. Other machines were armed with mechanical devices that trundled up to boulders or large geodes and used a strong disc to effectively grind them into piles of dust, or large mounted hammers to bash them down. The massive beasts with tires bigger than fighter craft started up and charged towards the site where multiple vehicles, those strange ones with the odd mobility system, moved in and started shoveling huge clumps of dirt at a time into the back of each truck. Each truck then trundled away at unreasonably high speed for their size towards the waiting arms of a refinery, where it was dumped out at hundreds of tons at a time. So see how it works? Loose dirt gets shoveled off the cliff with dozers into the holding site. Grinders and pummelers destroy loose rock at the top, then shovel it back into the pit. Dump trucks carry it all after excavators and dirt cranes load it all up. Then, no grinding, no crushing, no nothing needed, from the rock straight to the refinery. Simple as, he said again with a smirk. Hey, what? I tried to say, failing to notice I made no sense as my stupid jaw was still on the floor. I grabbed my chin and had to use my hands to move my mouth to speak, as my jaw had so floored itself it had dislocated. Please, tell me you hagen't beeb doig dis sids before you epter up chpashe? Oh, we did this long before we knew space was even a thing we could do. For reference, it's currently 2669, he said. The men behind him smacked their lips or something and said, "Nice." Anyway, 2669, the first use of explosives in mining was the year 1627. The first time we went to space was the year 1955, or at least somewhere there anyway, I forgot. So yes, we've been doing it for ages. But this is small-scale strip mining. We mine asteroid belts with gravity generators and explosives, he said, again with that damned smug smirk. My jaw dropped again, and I again was unable to talk as I considered the concept of what I just heard. I stood there, completely buggered out of my mind, as within the space of 1 damned hour the debris field was cleared, and all the ore in storage on conveyors, ready for processing by the refinery which was now chugging away at full power. By the rate it worked, it would be finished with the ore in the space of a few hours. 27,000 tons each time. Already humans were swarming a new location, digging holes, lining cables, and setting explosives. By the time I figured out how to reattach my jaw to my skull, they were ready for the next blast. Once again, the foreman yelled, "Fire in the hole!" 3 times before detonating the explosive charges. A larger segment of cliffside, again leading down to a plateau full of heavier equipment, lifted up, as if the planet took a deep breath, then fell down with a roaring crash. "I have questions," I said, now fully cowed by the display. "As do I, but you first," he replied. "Many questions, actually. But I'll start with this one. That was amazing. How did you manage to make the entire cliffside explode like that?" I asked. "Let me show you." We're setting up for the next blast. It's a good way to demo. He smiled back, less smug and more understanding as we left the confines of our safety bunker. He showed me how the engineers and technicians worked their magic, measuring a specific quantity of a malleable form of rubbery thing that was apparently something called plastic explosive. It was a highly stable explosive charge that could be molded into any shape and detonated with specific things in a certain interval. Each one had its own detonator device that was left out of the way and covered with a safety tape until the very last minute where it would be primed. The engineers showed me how they used math calculations to know what to do. Calculating the density of the rock layers, offset by weather conditions, quality of materials, and every other factor imaginable to calculate how much explosives they needed and exactly where. Calculating fault lines in the rock in order to shatter the entire thing open for processing. The mathematics, calculus, and geometry equations they used almost broke me. They could use a simple calculator mixed with some basic scanning data to figure out exactly where to put what and how much every single time without flaw. I was also told that due to how many times they did this over their years, they could easily make a guess, then do the calculations anyway just to be safe. Then finding out their guess was absolutely correct. They had the kind of memory that would put most species in the galaxy to shame. Then, I came across a new concept, the so-called caterpillar track. This mobility system, what even is this? How does it work? I mean, I can see how, but how? I asked as one of the large-scale excavator things trundled past us. Using a series of interconnected plates called tracks and segmented through the use of pins and other such things, we create these things called caterpillar tracks, or simply tracks. These stabilize machines and can carry massively heavier loads compared to wheels. Their first use was in farming tractors. They are usually built for heavy industrial machinery or tanks, he said, showing me how it worked as an excavator passed by. What is a tank? I asked, curious. Oh dear. That is a discussion for another time. We have a few, but we don't use them much these days. In any case, would you like to try to use an excavator? He asked. Wait, what? I said, staring at him. Would you like to try it out so you can see how it works? We have a small one available for small-scale use, digging ponds and canals, etc. Want to try it? He said, directing me to a cute little one that was off to the side. I enthusiastically agreed, of course, and was shown to the cockpit of the machine. I was shown how to use the controls by an operator, and they were absurdly simple, if a little unwieldy for my alien hands. I got in and felt the ridiculous power of these machines, and was even more astonished by the fact these things were powered by hydraulics. Ingenious. I played with it like an excited schoolchild for a few hours, using the small one to carve out a little hole in the ground. So, tell me, is this specialized equipment? I asked, hopping out of the cockpit. What? Well, yeah. You need training and permits to use them safely, but beyond the necessary qualifications, they're pretty much on the open market. In fact, I have one to spare that we haven't used since we've gotten here. It's just taking up real estate at the moment, and I already have spare parts for everything else, so it's not worth stripping down. You want it? He said. My eyes glowed brightly at the suggestion as I let out a noise of excitement that sounded like a large number of rats discovering the gates to a palace made of cheese. The Scotsman from earlier wandered onto the job site with a half-empty bottle of liquid and slurred speech. "Show, Captain! How'd the alien take the boomsh?" he hiccuped. "Well, he dislocated his jaw, but he seemed to like the tank tracks. So, we're giving him the spare unit we have in Hangar 4, the foreman replied. Again, what exactly is a tank? I asked again. Fucking hell. Aliens don't know what tanks are? Hell no, the drunk guy said, and downed the rest of the bottle in a hurry before collapsing on the floor. What's his problem? I asked. Let's not ask and pretend we don't care. Come, let's go show you your new machine. You must be excited, he said, and I followed him excitedly to the hangar nearby.